All right, guys, the day has come. I've got a new machine. It is just outside that door. I'll reveal it to you just in a minute. But first, I want to go through the process and explain to you how I came to my decision. So let's do that. All right, guys, the search has been on for almost 2 years for this machine. I'm so glad that I found what I wanted, got what I needed. I was in the price range I need. So here's for you guys that follow my channel for a while, you guys know that I was after a very specific machine and I had a very limited budget I was willing to spend on this. So there were some features that I just had to have that were just no questions asked. They were gonna be on the machine no matter what. Hydraulic quick attach quick coupler, and I would prefer to have one that would also accept the buckets I have for the 120 now, so buckets would be interchangeable. I wanted a progressive link or a pro link thumb. I would have been willing to settle for a pin thumb, but a hydraulic pin thumb, preferably pro link thumb, was an absolute must. It needed to be a long stick machine. I'm limited on the amount of weight I can haul, so to get the maximum reach out of the machine, I needed to have a long stick machine. Some other features that I could have lived with or lived without was a push blade. I personally think for some of the stuff I do, a push blade would be a really handy feature from time to time. I think it'd overweigh the nuisance of it being in the way. A must-have again was at least 28-inch pads. I work in a lot of soft, spongy river ground area. I need all the ground surface area I can get to help hold myself up and keep me out of trouble. And then an optional one again was the zero tail swing, whether it be a zero tail swing machine or just a conventional machine. I really kind of went back and forth on this one. Excuse me, I really kind of went back and forth on this one. I don't know. I think I would have been all right with either one. Some areas one would prevail, some areas the other one would prevail. I'm a little unique in the wide variety of stuff I do. So I don't know. I think I would have been happy with either one if I would have got one. When you guys will see here in a minute what I ended up going with. But the other thing is man, do I appreciate all your guys' comments, inputs. I got emails, I got Instagram messages, I got Facebook messages, I got comments on there. You guys are sending me links to machines, and some of them were some pretty viable options, especially there was a couple of 120s up in the Northeast I looked pretty hard at. They were just lacking a few features and had a little more hours on them than what I wanted. But I appreciate all your guys' input. I appreciate all your guys' thoughts. I think I read and liked and hearted every comment on every video you guys commented or emailed me or however you got a hold of me. Greatly appreciate it. One thing I did realize through all of that is a lot of you guys had some really awesome input, but there's also some guys out there that are just die-hard brand loyal, whether it be John Deere or Caterpillar or Komatsu or Volvo or whatever it is. You guys know me. I am not a brand loyal guy. I have a John Deere excavator. I have a Caterpillar excavator. I got a John Deere dozer. I got a Caterpillar bulldozer. I've got a Caterpillar loader. I've got a Kubota skid steer. I've got a Mack semi. I got a GMC dump truck. My main goal in this whole search was to find a machine that fit my needs, what I needed in my price range. And the only time brand, make, or manufacturer come into play whenever it comes to parts availability or dealer support. Other than that, I looked at the machine as a blank canvas. What's the specs? What will it do? What won't it do? Will it fit my needs? And can I afford it? I think sometimes I could be a little bit wrong in this. Sometimes guys go a little too far down the brand loyal hole. I don't care what manufacturer it is. They all make excellent equipment. They all make a few things that ain't quite as good. And the only reason to be 100% brand loyal to one is the relationship to a dealer. I think if you're a small independent guy like me, the chances are you probably don't have a good relationship with a dealer because they don't really give two craps about us. So at that point, I go on the machine that'll fit my build the best, and then I make sure if worst case scenario comes around, I do have some sort of dealer support if I need it. So I just wanted to, the whole point of that conversation is I was very unbiased in how I come to my decision. based on the manufacturer. I come to my decision based on what machine I think would work best for me, what I was able to locate, and what I was able to afford. So just a couple things real quick. This is kind of my process of elimination. John Deere, I love John Deere equipment. I'm a huge John Deere fan. I had a John Deere 110, I loved it, sold it. John Deere 120 is by far the best piece of equipment I've ever owned in my life. Amazing machine. John Deere 850 dozer I got, it's rock solid, no issues. Those engines are amazing. Love that thing. With all that being said, the newer John Deere excavators, the D series and the G series, I just do not like them. Some of this is just personal preference. It has nothing to do with the machine or the manufacturer. I just don't like the way they feel. I just don't feel comfortable in the seat. I don't like the way they operate. I don't like the visibility. I just do not feel home in those machines. I got a farmer buddy that owns a 160D. I got a buddy that owns a construction company that's got a couple C series and G series machines. They've had numerous problems with them. They've just not been very reliable machines for them. A lot of my concerns I had early on when I ran them kind of proved to be true for those guys running those machines for a while. I wanted to like them. I really wanted to like them because I like the John Deere machine I got now, and I like John Deere in general. I love the John Deere engine. I think it's one of the best engines on the market from about 200 horse down. And of course some of the bigger ones have the Isuzu engine in them. But I just, John Deere, I had to rule John Deere out pretty early for two reasons. One, I just didn't like the machine. The 135s were too small, the 160s are a little bit too big. And our local dealer is an absolute joke. I do not like talking bad about people, I do not like bad-mouthing people. But our local John Deere dealer, it's kind of the 3 strikes and you're out. I've gave them 3 fair shakes to do business with them, and all 3 times they've kicked me in the butt and set me out on the curb and told me to go fend for myself. I'm not going back, guys. I am not going back. Like I said, I've gave them 3 fair shakes, and they're not getting a 4th chance. I hate it, but it is what it is. Just not doing it. I'm not doing it. So. That kind of eliminated John Deere from the possibilities. The cat machines, the C series and D series, I've ran quite a few of them. Mechanically, I think they're very sound, good machines. I don't have any complaints about them being built or any concerns about their reliability. It kind of, and this is 100% personal preference. It goes nothing back to the machine. I just do not feel at home in the machine. It does not feel comfortable for me to run. I do have a cat excavator now. It's a 304C. It's my Mini X. It's my least favorite machine I own. It's probably going to be the next machine to get upgraded or on the chopping block. I just do not care for them much. Now, in full disclosure, I do not have very much experience at all on the new F-Series machines. I hear the F-Series machines are absolutely phenomenal. I did look at a few of them. I looked at a 313 and a couple other ones. I definitely would have seriously entertained one of those. I do believe, from what I've researched, I never sat in the seat of one, but a lot of my concerns or my complaints on some of the other machines, from what I read, seems to be addressed in the newer F-Series machines. But I just never could come across the one in my price range with the options and everything I wanted. The stars never aligned for a cat, so that kind of threw that one out. I don't really have any real complaints about the cat other than I personally don't care for the feel of one. We do have a rather large cat dealer around here, Wayne Supply. They're hit and miss, but it's just not hit and miss with me. It's hit and miss with everybody. It kind of is what it is. The parts availability for a cat's bar none. The dealer didn't really play into that equation at all. It was just more of a personal preference. The JCB machines. All right, guys, you're gonna think I'm crazy. The JCB company intrigues me greatly. I think that is a very innovative company It has a lot of awesome ideas. I think in the United States, what hurts them is they stick their neck out there so many times in so many different directions, trying different crazy things. Obviously, not all of them are going to work, but you never know till you try it. And everybody wants to revert back to their failures or their mishaps or whatever, but they completely forget the fact that they've come up with a lot of great solutions and a lot of great innovations to a lot of things. I still think their one-armed skid steer is one of the best inventions ever, and I would love to have one. The stars just haven't aligned for that either. The design of that machine is not my concern. It was the reliability of that machine, and a lot of that has to do with we just don't have the parts network or the backing here in the States, or at least in this area, to support those machines. I did look at a couple of JCB excavators. There was actually one really close to me that was swamped in a pond that had like 500 hours on it. It was a 2018 model, and so it was sitting in the dealer. Supposedly it just needed the computer and a few other things. I could have bought this thing for a song. It would have been the deal of the century, but I just it had a few options on it. It was lacking. It didn't have a thumb on it, which I could have put a thumb on it. It did have a coupler, but it didn't have a push blade, but it had the narrow pads. By the time I got it all around the way I wanted it, and I was still taking a chance on a machine being swapped, I ended up passing on that one. But I don't think JCB gets a fair shake across all their equipment. I think they've got some really innovative ideas. I do think they produce some good equipment. Here in the United States, we're just not quite up to par as far as supporting them. But I think they get a bad rap sometimes for just being different, and I don't think that's fair. Komatsu kind of falls underneath the cat category to me for a little bit, with the exception of I do feel comfortable in a Komatsu machine. I do like them. I think some of their electronics are the most innovative. A couple other companies are trying to catch up with them. We do have a good Komatsu dealer here. Dealer didn't play into that as far as being a good relationship, bad relationship. Basically the thing with Komatsu is I guess the stars didn't align. I never found a machine that fit my build sheet that was in my price range. So I never really got serious about one, but it was on my radar. I did continuously look for them, just never come across one. I did look at a Doosan machine. Two things there that steered me away. One, they didn't have a machine that spec'd out quite where I wanted it to. And I am a little bit apprehensive. I think they're really good 3,000–4,000 hour machines. I just don't know how well they hold up after that. There was some construction and some engineering concerns I had. I think if you're going to buy a new Doosan and you're going to use it for 3,000 hours, I think it'd be an excellent machine. If you're going to buy a new one and try to put 10,000 hours on it, I think you'd call it the biggest piece of junk you ever had by about 6,000 hours. I could be totally wrong. That's just my opinion. It just, I never felt comfortable with one. There was too many things that raised some flags for me that I just kind of backed away from them. Sandy, I didn't look at them at all. I just did not look at them at all. There's no dealer support for them around here. There's just not very many of them in our area. Few people really like them. A few people had some trouble with them. I don't know enough about them to have an honest opinion, so I'm not even going to say anything about that. Takakuchi, they do make a bigger machine now. It kind of falls under the Sandy category. There is no dealer support. There is no dealer anywhere close. There is a spot in Evansville about an hour from here that could get some parts for them. But I did not seriously search for one of those. I mean, I stumbled across a few of them and investigated a little bit, but I didn't get too carried away with it. So that was kind of that. So with all that being said, 2 years of searching and coming down, I got it narrowed down to 2 machines. And one of them you guys are going to find to be a pretty common brand. It's a Volvo. The Volvo 140E and the Volvo 145E I think would both fit into my fleet pretty well. And then the Hyundai HX140L and the HX145 LCR. After a tremendous amount of research and a lot of effort put into these, I was very impressed with both of these machines, and they both fit my build category as far as my specs and everything. So what I ended up doing from there is, once I got zoned in on those two machines, I basically got me a comparison printed off. And let me spin you guys around here, and I'll kind of share this with you and show you how it led me up to where I'm at today. All right, guys, hopefully you can read this, but this is the Hyundai 140 versus the Volvo 140. And this is the Hyundai 145 versus the Volvo 145. And I was looking at basically four main areas: reach, breakout force, overall weight, and lift capacity. And I've kind of color coded these to help me kind of stay somewhat organized on this, so I can compare apples to apples, the machine to machine. So on I'll flip forward here a few pages. So the first thing that stands out on these machines, and this did become an issue on the 145s, is the transport height. The Hyundai transport height is 10'2" versus the Volvo is 9.3. Now, where that comes into big play at is I can only haul 10'2" on my trailer legally. If I can't haul this machine legally, it's useless to me. And if you go to the Volvo 145, or to the Hyundai 145, excuse me, it's even worse. It's 10'7". So if that machine is 10'7", transport height, I can't even haul it. It's out, right? Well, after doing some research, that measurement's not actually to the top of the boom. It's to the safety rail on the side, which can be unbolted or modified to fold down. The height to the actual top of the boom is like 9'6". So yes, the spec is right, but no, it ends up not being a big deal. So we'll keep on paging on here. This here is a huge deal to me. This is reach dimensions. And the Hyundai kind of slaughters the Volvo in this deployment. 28.4 feet versus 27. That is reach along the ground. Like, how far can you reach out in front of you? Digging height, you're looking at 28.10 versus 27.5. Vertical wall, which is basically your height. That's the best way to put that, is that your height up high. It's 20 versus 19, 20'9" versus 19.6. That's 2 feet difference. Digging depth is almost 2 feet difference. I think you get the point there. The Hyundai takes it very handily in that department. The 145s, actually the Volvo excels slightly, and then they kind of start even out here. And so in the 145s, they're kind of tit for tat. I mean, there's an inch difference on ground level reach. Digging height, there's 2 inches difference. And then once you get down in here, I mean, you might as well just call them identical. They're pretty dang close to being the same. This here is a couple things I found interesting. The swing speed, the Volvo has it slightly, but on the travel speed, the Hyundai gets it slightly. But this here is a huge, huge number. The Hyundai has almost 3,000 more pounds of bucket breakout force. That is huge on a small machine. I mean, that is a big number on a small machine. It's 24.8 versus 21.7. That's a considerable difference for a small machine. You get into the 145 series, swing speed and travel speed's the same, but the bucket breakout force on the Hyundai is 24,980, exactly the same as the 140. But the Volvo is even less yet. It's 21,720. It's 20 pounds. It is a little bit less yet. But that number stood out to me. That was a pretty big difference. This here I found really interesting. This is your lifting capacity. And in close, the Hyundai kills it. 18.4 versus 13.8. But the farther you get away from the machine, the more they equal out. And once you get out about 5 meters, they almost become equals. And it's very similar on the 145s, with the exception the numbers are about 10% less. Now, what's that mean? I to me, it's a big deal to have that extra lifting capacity in close if you need it. And if you're the same all the way out, I'd rather have something in close than not have anything at all. There would be times if you're digging on a stump or trying to reach up and grab something heavy, having 3,000 or 4,000 pounds more lifting capacity in close, I think would be a huge deal. So the last thing I found really interesting is the operating weight is 32,000 versus 31,006. So there's a minimal difference in that, but the counterweight is almost 300 pounds less on the Hyundai than the Volvo. So the Hyundai has less counterweight, but has more overall weight, which tells me that machine is built solid somewhere. You know, they've got some steel somewhere. They've done something right on the machine. So after I went and researched all this stuff here, you guys seen my video. I went on my little travel and adventure, looking at machines. I went and looked at Link Belt, looked at Hyundai, looked at the Komatsu, looked at the Volvo, and was there one other? I think that was it. So after coming back from that and studying these Hyundai machines, guys, I am so impressed with this Hyundai Excavator. It's ridiculous. There's just a couple things. I'll give you one prime example of engineering. Look how this gusset on this boom goes from this pin all the way up and around to that pin. That to me is just good engineering. The way they have all these stuff mounted, see how they're not on the side of the boom, they're up on top of the boom where they're kind of tucked away. Just ingenious. Their operating system they have, it's touchscreen. It's one of the easiest things I've ever used. I mean, I just took right to it. Yeah, like even, I don't know if there's even a picture of it in here, but on the back of the machine, I think I showed it in my one video. Part of the counterweight comes out where you can get right in to work on the engine. You don't have to take the counterweight out. Everything on the machine has a part number on it. Everything's labeled. I truly believe that is a very, very well-built machine. They got a Perkins engine. They do make their own pumps. I couldn't find any research of anybody having any problems over them. I'm just absolutely in love with the Hyundai machine. After doing the research, after doing the trip, Hyundai it was. I was pretty dead set on a Hyundai machine. The only obstacle I have now is find one in my price range. So with all that being said, let's go check out the new machine. All right, guys, one thing I do want to add real quick. I don't think it's a good idea to solely buy a machine off the spec sheet. If any of you guys watched Tractor Time with Tim, he did a series on comparing a Kubota tractor to a John Deere tractor. And he brought up a lot of good points about what's actually on the spec sheet and how that relates to real world. So once you gather that information from the spec sheet, you need to kind of take that with a grain of salt and see how that applies to the real world. But anyways, I won't keep you guys waiting no more. Let's check out the new machine. All right, guys, here it is. The new machine is here. Drum roll, please. The new machine is All right, guys, there she is. It's a Volvo EC 140 EL 2016 model. It has right at 2,000 hours on her, 2,095 if you want to be exact. Now, before I go any farther, the one thing that kept me from buying a Hyundai machine was price. The local Hyundai dealer in Tyler, they worked with me. I cannot thank them enough of how hard they worked with me trying to get me into a Hyundai machine. At the end of the day, I was still just a little bit out of my price range as far as comfort zone, and I still couldn't quite get all the options I wanted. I've searched for 2 years. This machine fit the build 100%, and it was comfortably in my budget, so that's why I went that route. Just start here in the back, a couple things. This was a lease unit out of a dealership. This here is added on It's not factory, but somebody did a very nice job with it. They even got the Volvo in there. I don't know if that's necessary, but it don't hurt my feelings any. It's got the wider 28-inch pads on it, which is the same as the 120. That was kind of a must-have. It does have the push blade on it, and this thing is built, guys. Look at the size of those cylinders for a little bitty old 140. I cannot. That was the one thing on the Hyundai that looked chintzy, was the push blade. Everything else on that machine was built like a brick, you know what. Push blade did concern me a little bit. I have no concerns with this one. This thing is built like nobody's business. Very, very, very pleased with that. And like I said, that was not a must-have option. It was just an option if I could get it. I would take it. I was able to get it. Got the Progressive Link or the Pro Link thumb. ESCO. I'm not sure how I feel about this setup versus the 120. Time will tell on that, but from what I've researched and seen, it seems to be a pretty good little setup. That does look easier to work on if something went wrong. 42-inch bucket. I ended up going with the 42-inch bucket because that's the one size bucket I don't have for the 120. This Volvo Quick Connect, I have not tried it yet, but according to all the paperwork, it'll also grab all my buckets for the 120. I do have the long stick. It's the 9'10" stick. And that's it. I mean, the machine is not flawless. I mean, it's got a few little dings in it here and there. It's not new, but it's a lot less than a new one as well. I don't think the machine was hurt. Like I said, it was on a 2-year lease out of a dealership, come back off lease, and I was able to purchase it from there. It does have the side camera and the rear camera, so that way whenever Cleveland goes and tears the mirror off, we'll still be able to see what we're doing. I have not used it yet. I've unloaded it. I pulled it in the shop. I've just kind of been going over it, looking it over. I can quickly tell there's some features on this one that I'm going to really like over the John Deere 120. There's some stuff I'm not for sure I care for as much on the John Deere 120, but to be honest with you guys, I do not have a fair opinion on this machine yet because I have not used it. So I'm going to save all that for future episodes after I get some seat time in this, so I can have an honest opinion and just not be talking out my butt and theorizing. But I'm very happy with the purchase so far. I think it's going to be a good addition to the fleet. Time will tell. This is actually New Year's Day. I'm filming this, to be honest with you guys. You'll probably see it here in about a week or so, but it's obviously kind of a little bit slow here in January, but things should start ramping up pretty quick, and we'll see her out on some jobs, and yeah, we'll get a feel for her. We'll do it together, see how it goes. So, all right, guys, so a couple real quick things in closing here before we wrap this up. First of all, huge thanks to everybody who commented or helped me search for a machine or had input. I truly do appreciate all the input and everybody's time and effort they put into helping me find a machine. 2 guys individually, I want to give a huge thanks to. The first being Tyler, Rico Equipment. Tyler, I know you tried everything in your power to get me in a Hyundai machine. Probably went above and beyond in a few aspects, and I greatly appreciate that. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I think you know the rest of the story and all the circumstances there, but appreciate everything you've done, and Hyundai was still my machine of choice. I just couldn't find one in the price range is what it come down to. The other guy most of you have heard of, Chris, Let's Dig 18. He was a huge help, probably several hundred text messages and even a few phone calls after looking at this Volvo machine. Had a few questions, a few concerns. He was able to walk me through them and kind of ease my mind a little bit about them. So he was very open and honest and available to me to answer questions. So I greatly appreciate that. For some crazy reason, if you're subbed to me and not Let's Dig 18, jump over and check out his channel, awesome equipment, awesome guy. Does some really awesome work. So Let's Dig 18, go check him out. So finally, in closing, I probably got a handful of videos still coming up that still have the old John Deere 120 in it. I'm going to skip this video ahead of a few of those so you guys can see what I got. So you're more than welcome to comment, where's the new machine at? But the reality of it is, when those were filmed, the new machine wasn't here. So just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on that. Hope you all are having a great new year. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.